Hello everyone, this is El Spectral. Welcome back to the Land of Empires. And today we are about 4 minutes away from the center battle for the Battle of Disorder between Val, as usual, your host server 12, and NMR, which is server 39. Now, MNR is a very strong opponent, and we actually met together back in Area 2. Thankfully, we did win the Area 2 clash in this monument. Due to a bit of misplay on their end by keeping one of their weak players at one of the only remaining spots connecting to the monument. So we were able to kick that player out. But now, as you can see, they have control of actually a majority of the center. And the fight is really between the two of us, along with the possibility of server 16 joining in from the bottom. Now, we actually did a little bit of indirect teaming up, meaning that although we didn't have any direct agreements, we did not really fight with each other in the center settlement. But NMR did have a bit of a scuffle together with TUS, which brought about the stage ranking as you see here. You can see that TUS actually has quite high scores among their players, and that is because them and NMR clashed at this structure here, if I can locate it, right about here. Yes, so they clashed here yesterday, and that is definitely to the benefit of us, because in order to defeat TUS at this location, of course TUS didn't have the best positioning, but in order to defeat TUS, they still had to sacrifice a lot of troops and put a lot of their troops into the hospital. So we are hoping, although I believe overall NMR is much stronger than we are, that we will be able to prevail with that in mind. So I believe that overall, their players are more weakened than we are. And this is especially true looking at their total player power. Now, total player power is quite important for the Battle of Disorder because whenever you clash in one of these structures, similar to tiles, 5% of your wounded troops 5% of your troops will end up dying. So 5% of your losses will die, meaning that players with low power will actually run out of troops. And among those who have slightly higher power, like this G10 called Asagir, I completely butchered that name. It's more like Asger. He will actually run out of infantry before he runs out of troops. And as you know by now, infantry is really important in the Battle of Disorder, especially in Season 6 compositions. And before this battle starts, I will take the opportunity to go over what I believe to be the best compositions in the Battle of Disorder for Season 6. So starting out, I'm just going to try to highlight a tile here. So starting out with what I consider to be the best composition. Now, this composition was actually recently discovered and maybe not something that many of you would expect. So many of you would expect this composition to be the best. And I will just give general compositions. I will not give, of course, variations of one composition will usually be superior to another composition, but variations are rather boring. So I will just present the unit type compositions themselves. And variations are just mostly about the awakening skills and a bit of stats, which don't really matter in a Battle of Disorder. So before I move on to the second best composition, I will go over the best composition, which is Kellerman as infantry, Morgan as cavalry. Now I'm going to use Quinn here because this is basically showcasing Morgan's skills. So Morgan as cavalry, pretend that I'm not using the Arma here, and the Season 6 archer as the archer. Sorry, that was a little redundant. But the Season 6 archer skills as the archer. And this composition really works because Season 6 archer, he has a passive skill that gives the infantry 200%, 250% final rage skill buff. And that means that it is basically a multiplier, a 3.5-fold multiplier to Kellerman. And that allows him to deal quite a bit of damage. And what Kellerman really does is by comboing him with Morgan, and not Quinn, by the way, Morgan actually enables your Kellerman to use his rage skill to cycle his rage skill faster than Quinn would. And that is because after the use of a rage skill, Kellerman will have 35% initial charge for his next rage skill. And that is why Morgan is the ideal cavalry for taking advantage of Kellerman's rage skill, which disarms the opponent for a certain amount of time. And that disarm is actually really important in the Battle Disorder. As some of you might have noticed, people are running Kellerman with the Season 6 infantry armor. And that actually brings us to the second best composition, but I will finish talking about the best composition first. So the troop composition you would want to use in this setup is about 35,000 archer. And what is unique about this composition is that it's actually very good at keeping the archer alive. One weakness of the second best composition, which is basically Season 6, is that the archers kind of tend to die very quickly. And the disadvantage of that is once the archer die, you no longer get the 250% final ferocity boost. So let's have this kind of unit set up. I should really use the buff. Let me use that real quick because it is, after all, time for battle. I'm just going to use the capacity buff, the most important buff, the attack and defense buff, whatever these buffs do. I'm not sure if they even do anything at this point. And a little bit of HP and ferocity. I doubt these really do much, but they're more of a formality, or just in case, I should say. So going back to the team I was talking about, that would be Kellerman, Morgan, and remember, this is assuming no armor, and the Season 6 archer. And the composition I would run is 35,000, 50,000, and actually I don't even need 35,000. 30,000 is more than enough. And then 55 to 60,000. And finally, the rest goes into infantry. And this composition is very powerful compared to full Season 6 because the archer is fairly well protected from the cavalry. I'm not too sure how battle mechanics work in the Battle Disorder, but the cavalry also allows the archer to use his rage skill, or I should say to cycle his rage skill faster. And that allows him to apply a self-protection at a more frequent interval than otherwise. So it allows the archer to survive against the opposing cavalries that are very good at damaging the archer. The Season 6 cavalry is a prime example of that. So the second best composition, of course, is the Season 6 composition. Now, the Season 6 composition, people would typically take advantage of Kellerman's skill. And what you would see is running Kellerman, but with the Season 6 hero armor. But I will digress from that and just go over the Season 6 composition. So this is generally the second best team. Have the archer boost the infantry, and the infantry is very good at surviving. But the weakness of this composition, in my opinion, is that the archer becomes fairly vulnerable. The archer will die very quick against Season 6, and as a result, you're left with a much weaker team for the next round. So to give an example of the performance, which is pretty insane, honestly. So if we take a look at this, I'm not too sure how representative this result is of actual performance because he didn't really use too many archers. But I just want you to take a look at how well my archers are surviving against what used to be the best team. So I know there's a difference in the unit amount, but even if there wasn't, it wouldn't be that big of a gap. You can see that my archers pretty much survived. I didn't even need to use 35,000. I could have probably just used 20,000. And I think in the upcoming battle, I'm just going to use 25,000 and then use a little bit more cavalry. But after defeating this team, this supposedly best team was able to straight up defeat the next team. And I hope this really showcases the potential power of this team, where you combine the disarm capability of Kellerman with the fast rage skill cycling ability of Morgan. And this also confers protection once again to the archer. And this is really why I believe this team stands at the top currently for the Battle of Disorder. Now, in terms of Titanos, I don't think there's that much difference between the top 3 Titanos, which is Odin, Windstrider, and Chaos. So let's take a look at the battle. We haven't declared yet for some reason. Let's see what they're doing. I'm not too sure why we haven't declared. I think we should declare soon. What does he want? So Tuss appears to want to push into this region, but I don't think that will happen. But let's just... Is NMR even declaring? If they declared, then they should have started attacking already. I'm not quite sure why they haven't declared yet, but since this is the case, I'm just going to take the time to talk a little bit more about teams in the Battle of Disorder. So I just went over the PvP teams. Now, the best PvE team, I believe, consists of Michael, a rage skill cycle buffer like Quinn, and probably Hanzo. And I cannot really explain why this is the best PvE team. After all, I don't really care about PvE. But what I believe to be the case is that Michael is able to use his rage skill at the very start of the battle. And this has an advantage in PvE because at the initial part of the battle, you are already not only able to deal a lot of damage against your enemy front line, but you are also able to weaken the damage that they deal to you. Now, I'm not too sure about the effect because everything feels nerfed in the Battle of Disorder. Everything feels balanced after all. To get a little bit of sidetracked, I actually think that Glorious troops do not count at all in the Battle of Disorder, meaning that if we pitted 2 players who have exactly the same stats, exactly the same army and heroes, and one is Glorious 0 and one is Glorious 10, I believe that it will be an even fight. So back to the topic, that is roughly why I think that Michael is very good for PvE in the Battle of Disorder. Team him up with Quinn and Hanzo, and you will see even better performance than the top PvP team that I just mentioned earlier. Because PvE, your enemy doesn't really do that much damage against you. Your goal is really to kill multiple waves of enemies. So I hope they start soon, because otherwise I'm going to run out of things to commentate on, and that will make for a rather boring video. Now, one thing that I do want to mention in terms of Battle Disorder combat mechanics, I should say combat dynamics between multiple alliances, is if you have this kind of gridlock, what might end up happening is that if one side, for example, is hell-bent on keeping the other side from taking the shrine, then what they can do is just kick out marches the other side sends to burn down the shrine. Just kick them out whenever they send them in. And that is very expensive for the opposing alliance because your team is almost guaranteed to kick out multiple teams. And that really burns the stamina of the opposing alliance. So what might end up happening, especially in a 1v1 or even a 3 or even a 4 alliance free-for-all, is that at the end of the event, after 3 hours, not a single alliance is able to capture the middle. And the middle just simply ends up stalling. So if any of you saw my previous video, all alliances basically let each other burn down a majority of the HP. Now, you don't have to do that. If you're in a 1v1 situation, all you have to do is kick them out. You don't even have to wait until they are able to burn through most of that HP. You kick them out, they cannot do anything. And the battle will just stall for 3 hours, and then you have to redeclare. And whoever is left online will do the same thing over again. Maybe the other side will get pissed off and do the same thing to you. And after 3 days, if the players are committed enough, or if they have some bot accounts, they can just keep this uncaptured for the rest of the game. And I'm really interested to see if this becomes an issue across some matchups, because there are some quite even matchups out there. And I would even go as far as to say that us versus NMR is fairly even, because although they are stronger than us, I believe overall they have been weakened more than we have been. Although I am fairly weak as of right now, you can see my Valor is almost full. A majority of my Valor consists of infantry due to the Season 6 composition that we use. And I guess I can also talk a little bit about why my Valor is full, as well as the Valor trick that you can use to sustain fewer losses in the Battle of Disorder, as well as any event that has the Resurrection page, which is here. So this is the Resurrection page, and from this page, troops that are either directly killed, meaning that, for example, in the case of tiles, 5% of injured will be directly killed, or in the case where you have a full hospital or even a full Valor, you never want to reach that point. Troops that cannot be filled into the hospital or filled into the Valor will be sent to the Resurrection page. And the Valor trick is really about taking advantage of that 90% resurrection to get the most out of, I guess, to save the amount of speed ups you need to use. Because really, what is the alternative? The alternative is to keep healing your troops. And as you can see, even on my account, which is fairly well built, just look at how many speed ups I'm left with. After many wars, I'm left with literally 90 healing speed up. Basically none. I have some universal speed ups, but in a real fight, those are not going to last. Even in the upcoming fight, it's going to disappear in a flash. So what is the trick? The trick is to send your troops. I do cover this in my Hall of Valor guide, by the way, which might come before or after this video. I'm not too sure yet. Is to simply have your hospital full and let troops get fed into the Hall of Valor. And I will go into more details in the exact mechanics on how the Hall of Valor works. But essentially, the end result is that as long as you're able to spam click the troops that you can immediately get, meaning after each clash, you do not want to wait in between clashes. After each clash, you must immediately claim the troops that appear here, because otherwise the losses you will sustain, the permanent losses that you will sustain are much greater than if you had just simply healed them. So if you click and immediately get these troops back, the end result will be that in order to train, the speed ups that you will need to train back the troops that you have permanently lost after resurrection is actually more than 3 times less than the speed ups that you need to heal those troops had you just kept your hospital empty and not let any troops get sent to the Hall of Valor. So that is essentially the Hall of Valor trick, and that is something that I will be showcasing in this upcoming battle until my Hall of Valor fills up. Now, once my Hall of Valor fills up, I will become rather demotivated to fight, and I will really have to think about to what extent do I want to continue fighting. Because after the Hall of Valor fills up, you no longer have the Valor trick. You'll just have all wounded troops going directly to the Resurrection page. And that is really bad, because even with 90% resurrection rate, you will be losing a lot of troops per clash. And even though I have 757 million power, which represents a lot of troops, I will not be happy about it. It's not going to be worth the rewards anyways, but it's going to hurt even more. And that is something I want to avoid. Now, I went over the first strategy we have against NMR, which can potentially give us the advantage, is that we have, they might have their own setups, but we plan to use the strongest setup, which I don't believe they know. And the second advantage I mentioned earlier is that their troops, their players are relatively low on power and relatively weakened. For example, take Cursed Assassin, for example. Although he has a lot of speed ups, I know he has a lot of speed ups, many thousands of them. However, he cannot sustain those speed ups due to the 5% loss that is applied at these shrine clashes. He will pretty much be out of infantry after a few dozen clashes. And even though he can have infinite speed ups, but it's not going to matter. If he sends primarily cavalry and archers, then he's not going to be able to deal much damage to us. So taking a look at their players here, these players, although they are closest to the point of combat, they will not be able to contribute much. So I really didn't mind these two players being closer than I am. He is also closer than I am, but I also believe that he will quickly run out of infantry and he will quickly become not a problem anymore. Now, the only people that could be a problem, I'm just kind of looking for them, on the NMR side, of course. There's always the possibility of TUS creeping in. This player has a lot of power. This player has a decent amount of power, but I think he's probably going to run out because he is their strongest player. This player has a lot of power, so he will give us some issues. He will not give us issues. Pretty much any player that is under 300 million, especially those under 250 million. I'm going to pick a bit on Cursed Assassin. I'm not really worried about because they will just end up running out of infantry, whether they like it or not. Even if they have like 400,000 cavalry, 400,000 archers left, it's not going to matter. Yeah, I'm not worried about any of these players. And this is actually why keeping TUS away is actually really important. And I believe NMR is doing quite a favor for us here by kind of suppressing TUS, because TUS has a lot of high power players that we will not be able to suppress if they decide to commit. So if you cannot suppress them based on troop count, the only way to suppress them will be based on their stamina. And stamina is really not a point that I would like to end up with because it gets very, very expensive for both sides. If we do clash with NMR and then TUS finds the opportunity to creep in, control either of these two tiles, then we will be in big trouble. In other words, we simply cannot let TUS touch the middle no matter what. Unless, of course, we decide to just hold off forever, and we're never going to get anywhere because everyone's just going to sit around. People are going to go offline, go to sleep. I'm going to go to sleep. Like, what is going on here? What is cooking? Absolutely nothing. What in the world? He is fucked. Let's see where he's going. I'm actually interested. I'm going to flag him. And like, this is interesting because when you're put into this situation at this stage of the game, you can expect to never get anywhere near the middle. Because I think I'm just going to do him a favor and keep him there. Like, I'm going to personally take care of his armies. And he's not going to get out of here. So let's see where his marches are going. It's going to take 10 minutes per wave of marches. And it's not going to end up great. So he's going here. And obviously it's not going to work because I'm going to kick him out. Or other people are going to kick him out. But we'll see. It might end up working if we're too distracted. But I'll try to keep an eye on it. And hopefully this battle will get started soon. Okay, so I'm just gonna fast forward the video. I originally didn't want to edit this video, but obviously this battle is not gonna start. So I'm gonna go check what's up and hopefully get something going. I'll see you guys in a bit.
One eternity later.
Hello everyone, welcome back. And we are about 16 hours after we left off in our last video. What ended up happening is that none of the competing alliances kind of wanted to take the first hit, kind of wanted to break down the 201 defenders defending this Order Shrine. And so nobody really declared, or even if they did declare, they just didn't really attack seriously. So we ended up just kind of being in a stalemate where nobody was attacking nobody for the past 16 hours. And finally, we kind of reached a tentative agreement where at least us and NMR worked together to kill the defenders, while TUS sat back to defend this player of theirs. Although I wouldn't really blame them for doing that, because if they lose this player, of course they lose the connection to the middle. So once they lose connection to the middle, they relinquish any sort of participation they can do in the middle. So right now people are swarming in, and I think we will allow NMR to burn down a majority of the HP, because I think everyone's rather tired at this point, and we just want to see this fight concluded. So by doing this, NMR would be, of course, burning quite a bit of their stamina, but I don't know why we are attacking. I need to tell them to stop attacking. Because the alternate strategy, like if you really don't like your opponent, what you can do is you don't even wait for the HP to burn down. You just kick them out whenever they have troops in there. And if you do that, it is more kind of like a bad manners stall strategy, where you give your opponent no opportunity to eventually take the shrine. And so the HP will mostly stay very high, and in the end, nobody will really get the shrine. So I don't know why my clanmates are still attacking, because first of all, it's wasting their stamina, and second of all, it's just slowing down this process. What I think they should be focusing on instead is just getting rid of this guy. If we get rid of this guy, we will still be able to kick TUS out. So maybe I can leave them a suggestion. Once we kick this guy, and I think we will be capable of beating NMR in a one-on-one fight. If TUS joins in, then I think it'll become very messy. I have no idea who will win. I can only rely on the composition to kind of overcome the difference, because I know TUS is pretty active. They have many high-powered players. Although their power dropped a bit, I'm sure they still have plenty of power, troops, and energy to stand against us. So back to what I talked about in my last video, I think once again the main benefit of what I mentioned to be the strongest composition is that it is able to keep the archer alive for across multiple fights. So here, well, he didn't really use the correct composition, because in order to take advantage of Kellerman and Morgan, or especially Kellerman's power, you at least need to give Kellerman some damage. If you don't give him damage, then Kellerman's just going to be doing the disarm, and you're not really going to get anywhere. This composition of his is just bad, and this composition is the standard Season 6 composition, and my composition is actually very, very good against Season 6, as you can see in this result. And it's just very good also at sustaining multiple fights. I wouldn't say this composition is like significantly better than the second best composition currently, which is Kellerman with S6 armor, Morgan with S6 armor, and Lisbeth with S6 armor. So basically a full Season 6 armor team ran on your Season 4 and Season 5 combo hero team. I don't think this comp is that much stronger, especially in the one-on-one clash. It might even be a little bit weaker. However, I do think the main advantage of this team is being able to keep the archer alive and allowing it to push through more layers of defense than the standard Season 5, Season 6 combo with full Season 6 armor. So I'll probably start to speed this up in a moment, because this is going to take a while to burn. And unless I find anything else interesting to talk about in the meantime. So most TUS members are situated down below. We are to the left, and NMR is to the right. what ended up happening is NMR kind of let us in, maybe, and we honestly we didn't mind that. The stalemate was just becoming so boring that we just wanted something to happen. So we let us in, and now I think action has finally started, but we are considering kicking Bear out because, of course, he is a variable. He is a wild card in this fight that can really mess things up for either NMR or us, depending on how confident we are at eventually taking the shrine. But my hospital, to give a status of myself, my hospital is fairly full, but really that doesn't matter because the action has started, so I don't really care how quickly my troops in my Hall of Valor regions. Because as you know, the hospital gives up to a 0.5 multiplier to your loyalty region. And if your hospital is full, your loyalty region will be halved. And if your hospital is empty, then there will not be a nerf multiplier to the loyalty region. So currently, I was able to recover around 300, like 90,000 troops. And you can see that they recently buffed the basic loyalty growth. And this represents the loyalty cap. It basically doubled. So I have a higher basic loyalty growth than most people because my hospital level is actually glorious too. And due to the recent knowledge of being able to take advantage of the Hall of Valor to extend your fighting potential, I think I will start upgrading my hospital to possibly glorious 5. And that will further extend how many troops I can put into the Hall of Valor. And especially with the high region nowadays, you will be able to recover troops so quickly. Because if you just take a look at this number, 43,000, and assume that you have a full Hall of Valor. So 24 hours a day, that is 43,000 times 24, which is like what? Close to 1 million? Like 1 million loyalty. How many troops will that get you? We can check like 1,000 troops. Or we could check how many loyalty is required. So almost 200,000 troops. You will be able to resurrect or get back for free, by the way, nearly 200,000 troops until you reach the 80% capacity threshold. So as long as your hospital is empty, your speed of regeneration will be very fast. And if you have a lot of troops, you don't need to worry about not being able to, say, prepare the proper composition because you will just have so many troops you will never run out. And you will just be able to get right back into the fight 1 or 2 days later because you will be able to recover like 200,000 to 400,000 troops almost instantly within a couple of days, which is really nice. I am really glad that they further increased the Hall of Valor maximum loyalty regeneration because that number was actually very low back in the days, back when like half a year ago or even a year ago when I started playing. The loyalty region was like a third of what it is right now. And that made it very unfeasible to rely on the Hall of Valor. But because now that it is so high, I think the Hall of Valor, putting troops into it, or I should say feeding troops into it, will become a very essential component to any kind of battle that involves a Revelry of Fire. Basically a place where you can resurrect your troops, about 90% of them. But once again, as I mentioned in my Hall of Valor guide, if you want to take advantage of the Hall of Valor, you must, and I emphasize, you must do your best to immediately reclaim troops that fall into this category. Because if you don't reclaim them, you lose them permanently. They don't even go into, they are not even eligible for resurrection. You just simply lose them. And ultimately, you will lose much more speed ups than if you had just simply healed them from the hospital. So once again, that's my rundown of the Hall of Valor, and I'll be taking advantage of that in this fight. Once my Hall of Valor fills up, I will use my remaining speed ups to recover troops from my hospital. And once that runs out, then I'll have to really take a look at how much stamina I have left, how much hero energy I have left, and finally consider whether I want to continue fighting, because anything beyond that will be really damaging to myself in the long run. And this is really a marathon of a game. We've been playing for a year and a half now, and things are always ever changing. We're meeting new enemies, new allies, bigger and bigger fights. So I think it is very essential to maintain your overall power, as opposed to some people who, I know some people love fighting. Like I know this guy loves fighting, but it is really not wise to keep your troop count relatively low. Of course, in Confluence battle, you can do the Hellwatcher trick. You can hide your troops in the tent, and as a result, nobody will be able to touch you because you simply don't have enough troops to have remaining troops left out in the open so that people can hit you. You can't just hide everything in Hellwatchers and your tent. But then again, in clashes like this, you're at a major disadvantage because you cannot rely on your hospital, as 5% of wounded troops will die after each clash. So you'll quickly run out of troops, and it's just simply not fun. You will feel like you're not performing at your optimal potential, especially in this kind of balanced event where every march matters, every proper march, that is. If you send like trash heroes, for example, you're not going to get anywhere. But yeah, so I will let this burn down, speed this video up, and I will see everyone back when the big clash happens, as similar to last video. Alrighty, we are back, and the HP has burned down to the last 10%, and hopefully people will start clashing very soon. So I saw a couple marches from Tusk going in, but I'm not too sure whether they are committed just yet. So there are currently 73 marches from NMR in this shrine, which means that at an average of 200 burn rate per army, we would expect this to go down within 5 minutes actually. So I think we should really start preparing to send teams in so that they don't somehow snipe this, because there is a possibility, for example, if we wait till this drops to 5,000, then their nearby players can continuously reinforce with their best march, and we will not be able to push out their army in time for them to burn down the remainder of the HP. But the reason why we're still holding off is that we know that Tusk still has a lot of potential left. Almost their full potential, I would say. And so we are kind of waiting for them to act before we do. Because if we start and kick all of them out, which it appears that we're starting to right now, then kind of Tusk will have the final say in terms of who captures the shrine in the end. So now we are just waiting a bit, and hopefully Tusk will spring into action once this number drops below 10,000. Because once this number drops below 7 to 8,000, even we will have to start taking action, because otherwise NMR is just going to capture this for free. And that is not our goal, because our goal is to win as usual. So yeah, now it's just kind of a anticipation waiting game to see what Tusk does, and we will have to react appropriately if they do nothing. So I have my main team ready. I will not be using a secondary team, but because I believe that this team is best for deleting multiple armies that's currently residing in this shrine. So I will not be using my Season 6 team. When my main team runs out of stamina, what I will do is I will switch the armor setup for my Season 6 so that it is somewhat equivalent to my strongest team. So let's see what happens now. Tusk is still not showing any sort of activity. The only thing we can do is probably just to slow down their burn rate, to kick a few marches out, and to make sure that they don't somehow end up sniping this. Because with 75 marches, they could easily snipe this in a heartbeat. So I think I'm just going to send one team in, just to kind of prod at this defense, because once this starts dropping, I'm just worried that it will drop too quickly. You can see how fast it's dropping. In a matter of seconds, it dropped by 1,000. And if they timed it so that all of those troops are kind of in position to simultaneously drop, then they would have successfully sniped it. So it appears that we're all going in, but Tusk still appears to be chilling, which I'm not too sure why they want to risk that. But I think, well, it appears that everyone's going in, but there's really no point. And there is really no point because, I mean, we're not going to be able to burn down the remaining 5.7 thousand. It's just too much. But it appears that there's only 33 marches left. And I guess I will just have to hold off by myself, because I think Tusk is making the right play, because we could no longer wait. And it appears that we will start the official clash versus NMR. And this is a good time to start using the healing speed up skill, because my clanmates, although I will be relying on the Valor trick, I think a lot of my clanmates don't know about it yet, so they will be trying to heal their troops from the hospital. And right now, I'm just really trying to see when TUS will start sending their troops, because we really cannot wear ourselves low too quickly. Otherwise, this is just going to be a free win for TUS. So I crashed, which is kind of expected because my game was becoming a little laggy already. But let's jump right back in. And when the clash becomes very intense, what I need to do is start using my 30-minute capacity buffs so that I can make the most out of whatever stamina I have left. 2,300. So this is close enough now that we kind of need to push. I really don't know what TUS is thinking, because like this is what I was mentioning earlier. They could very easily snipe this. So let's use our buff. And they have 28 left. Let's push again. Since we have the capacity buff, we want to buff our infantry. We will take a look at the reports later. So TUS is not taking action just yet. I think I should instant recall now. Send again. And probably send my second team as well. I don't want to do this, but I think we are shaving it too close otherwise. Let me just make sure that my second team is equipped correctly. So, okay, my second team looks all right. So there's only 17 marchers left. I should also make use of raid a bit more. I kind of forgot about it. It's very easy to forget in the heat of things. There's only 11 marchers now. So I think what TUS' strategy is that they really believe that they have no chance against the two of us if we do not weaken the opposing side. In other words, they are trying to make sure that, well, they are betting on the fact that we will not let the opposing side win. And so they can swoop in at the end and take the reward. So their gamble is that we will kind of suicide on each other, which is kind of what we're currently doing. And if they fail the gamble, it means that one of us takes it. So if one of us takes it, they would have failed the gamble and they lose by default. But if neither side are capable of taking it and we wear each other down, then they would have won the gamble. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot my own advice, which is to... stupid me. I lost a lot of troops. Because I had a full hospital, it meant that I needed to kind of spam heal the Hall of Valor. Because otherwise, I lose about 9.3% of the troops. So I'm just going to demonstrate now how you spam the Hall of Valor. And just spam click this location. And when your troops meet the enemy, you will be able to reclaim the soldiers, because there will be about a 0.3 second pause between each fight. So you can see how I'm reclaiming the soldiers. And this is how you spam click the Hall of Valor. So let's do that again. Oh. Unfortunately, I won't be able to watch the fight when I do this, but this is very important because you can see how many troops I'm reclaiming through this trick. Otherwise, I would just simply lose all those troops. So there's 555 durability left, and this is where we really have to pay attention. But it does look like all their troops have been kicked out, and I really don't want to do this. I want to focus here. I don't know how many troops I already lost. Hopefully not too many. But yeah, this is how I recover. This is how I ensure that I only lose 2.3% of my army. And it does look like TUS is going in now. So we will start using kind of the stall strategy where we check to see who is currently capturing it and then kicking out those marches within 5 minutes. So right now it is at 11. It is at around 1:15. No, so it changed hands again to NMR. So it's very important to pay attention to exactly who is currently in control of the center. And my main team, my main march is still ready to go. So I don't really need to do anything with armor right now. I still have plenty of energy, enough for 12 marches, maybe 13 raid marches. But that was kind of close. Prop to NMR. They almost succeeded in sniping it. I think if my alliance was not committed enough to pushing them out, then they would have succeeded in shaving down the remaining durability, which was just a couple hits. So right now it's controlled by NMR. We have to pay attention to the timer, which was about 14:20. So it means that we really have to start kicking them out at around 11:20. So I'm just going to remind my alliance to kind of hold off on attacking. There's no need to attack right now because TUS is really barging in. It is still controlled by NMR. And I hope this is accurate. I hope the game is not bamboozling me, because otherwise, if for example TUS is controlling it right now, because I don't really see any changes in the list of names here. So NMR is still in control, which means that we will have to start kicking them out when this timer hits about 112. So high 111, low 112 is when I will have to start kicking people out if it doesn't change hands by then, which I hope it does, because if I take action, it means that my power will go down, my Hall of Valor will start filling up even more, and I will have less potential to keep fighting. All right, let's see how many from TUS are actually participating. I don't exactly see too many. I know Blitz is participating. He seems to have healed himself, so he is relying on heals. And once this switches hands, I'm just gonna, okay, it seems that it did switch hands, so there's only 2 left, so we can restart the timer. There being only 2 left means that they, even if those 2 people get their hits in, they will not be able to shave down 555 remaining stamina, or durability, I should say. Now it belongs to us, and now it's back to NMR. We can reset the timer to 112, which means that we don't have to hit it until around 109. So let's just take a look at the results, some of the reports, and let's see which, kind of just roughly which teams we faced off, which teams we performed well against. So we performed very well against this team, which is even surprising, I should say. But you can see that when clashes happen in the shrine, 5% of injured troops will end up dying, which means that people who do not have too many troops, and I'll be keeping a close eye on the power level of this guy, which is dropping very rapidly by now, just to make sure that, I mean, sorry, not to make sure, but rather he will be running out of troops soon. And the way to see that is I've described many times the optimal composition for Season 6 combat in the Battle of Disorder, and that is around 60% infantry, 30% cavalry, and 10% archer. So once people start using fewer than 60% infantry, then you would know that they are starting to run out of troops. So they may not run out of cavalry nor archers, but the moment they run out of infantry, their march capability, their overall march power will be dramatically reduced. And that is really the goal that I am aiming for with respect to facing NMR. Now, TUS is a whole nother story because they have a lot of troops. And so on the TUS end, I am kind of just hoping that their members will run out of stamina, run out of steam, so that we can eventually have enough punching power to maintain our position while not letting TUS have theirs. So it does appear that they are not able to kick NMR out. So I will send one march. Of course, I cannot look at it, so I will be spam clicking this structure. And I think a moment ago I should have used that opportunity to clear the formation quest, because that is very annoying. And you want to do that until you see a sign that your march is dead. Okay, now I know my march is dead. Let's take a look at who's controlling this. It is, well, it doesn't matter. So we reset the timer, 109. Now we check back here at 106. So in the meantime, I will clear this quest because it is very annoying. If you want to click your Hall of Valor, but it takes you to the formation drill, then you'll be very pissed off. Because just think about it. If you do not spam click that and you lose a full march, 256,000 worth of troops, then what happens is that 10% of them, in other words, 25,000 will go to the hospital, but because your hospital is full, 25,000 will go to the Hall of Valor. And because you didn't spam click, remember, I covered this in my Valor guide, but what happens is that 7% of those troops will be eligible for immediate reclamation. Now, if you don't reclaim them, you lose that 7%. So, yeah. So you lose 7% of 25,000, which means that you lose about, you permanently lose about 2,300 or 2,000 troops. And that's never good. It might not sound like a lot, but it really adds up if you send like multiple marches. If you keep playing without reclaiming those troops, it's really painful. So NMR is still in control currently. Let's check our Valor situation. It looks all right. Our hospital situation is full as expected. And I just want to check right now if anyone is starting to run out of troops. So let's take a look at him. So you can see his composition has, I don't know if this is his proper composition. I think this hero team just sucks. So I won't really judge that. So this composition is already really bad. He's not running high infantry count. And just look at the result. He's not really able to dent me very much. So, I don't know why people run this compositions like this. It's like, I doubt his main team is out of energy, so he's just sending multiple teams. But let's just take a quick look back to the battle. It's still NMR. I don't feel the need to really kick them out because I think the real durability is much higher than 555 now. It's probably over 1,000. So 5 marches of them is not going to be able to shave down over 1,000 durability. I'm kind of gambling on that, but I'm pretty confident that it's already regened. Okay, now 10 people are in, so we will check back at 103-ish. Yeah, if I somehow fail to, like, if this number did not regen and it's actually 555, then yeah, that would be just a misplay from me, a big misplay, and I wouldn't be very happy about that. So they have 16 left. For some reason, people have stopped attacking. Or at least TUS kind of stopped attacking. I'm not too sure why. 12 left. 8 left. I'm just going to attack once for good measure. Because why not? So you can see my Hall of Valor now. I click this and it instantly takes me to the Hall of Valor. That's why whenever you get the opportunity, you want to clear the formations page so that it will instantly take you to the Hall of Valor. Now, I'm not sure. Okay, here we go. Probably what happened is that we were able to take control of the center, and now people are starting to swarm in. So I'm just going to keep clicking here. Fortunately, I know this is not very entertaining, but this will save me a lot of troops in the long run. Like here, if I had missed it, if I was not actively clicking, I would have missed that second reclaim. Okay, so my troops have been kicked out, and it does appear that we are in control. I mean, we were in control. Now NMR is back in control, so we will reset the timer and check back at 1 hour. So once this timer runs out, I think we will have to redeclare immediately. There should be a window of opportunity. There could be, so if we redeclare too late, then there will be a window of opportunity for the enemy side. But if we redeclare immediately, then we should have a small window to kick out their troops before they are able to shave the durability. So I don't think this timer counting down is really a huge issue, unless, for example, your enemy manages to stack up over like 100 marches in there during that span, during that couple minutes span. So are we defending now? It would be quite interesting if we are defending, but I'm just going to send my team if that is the case. Ooh, I really should have used raid. I keep forgetting about it. So I am going to send 2 teams, and I'm just going to spam here. So, okay, that was muscle memory. Okay, so I'm just going to live here for the next minute or two. Maybe I should try making a macro for this so that you guys don't hear the obnoxious clicking sound that my mouse is making. But it's really necessary to do this. Otherwise, the Hall of Valor trick simply does not work. Hello? Are people just not attacking us? Has anyone called GG's? Not yet, so they are still fighting. Okay, I'm just going to check here from... I did it again. I'm just going to check here from time to time. Make sure it's empty. So actually, I'm going to clear this so that I get notification when I get hit. Okay, we have 19 marches in here, which is pretty damn good. And I'm still really good on stamina. And because the optimal setup actually involves armor only, I can sustain my fight for a very long time. So it appears that people are swarming in, so let's get ready here in case they break through here, like this. I guess the downside of this is that you don't get to see the action that goes on, and this might be a turnoff for many people. But if that's the case, then just use the heals. It's over 3 times less efficient actually, but you get to see the action, which sometimes may be important. It seems that I got hit again, I think. No, I didn't. Let's clear this. Let's put our second march in. What is his power sitting at? I'm not too sure. But if we can hold this for a bit, then we would have a pretty decent chance. Oh shit, I'm getting hit. Okay, I probably missed the reclaim, which is kind of bad. This is just what you kind of have to do. Okay, let's see what the situation is. I'm wondering what the health of this team is. Because if this team already has low troops, then I kind of want to just stop it from to retreat it, because I would not be able to deal much damage to the enemy, whereas on the other hand, I would be taking a lot of losses. So I just got hit 3 times simultaneously apparently, so that was kind of bad. So let's send that team in again. Well, actually I'm gonna wait a bit because they appear to be sending a lot of things. So you can see that the stamina has refreshed and it is sitting at 1600 right now, 1700. My Hall of Valor is still hanging in there. And right now it's being controlled by TUS. So this makes me wonder whether this was like TUS official calling to start attacking. I'm not too sure if that's the case, but he's probably completely dry. And I think most people in NMR are fairly dry by now. So right now our focus will be on TUS. Let's check my Revelry of Fire. Not ideal, but recoverable. Let's send... Do I need to send a march in? Well, they have many marches sitting in here, so I'm just going to send a march in. Oh yeah, got a raid. Okay. Probably go in again. How many raids do I have left? Plenty. So let's go in again. And you really have to click fast here. You can see that each battle is only about 0.3 seconds. So if you are not fast about it, then you just lose a couple recovery opportunities. Let's go in again. And I think you can see how many armies I'm managing to kick out with each march. And I think this really is attributed to the power of this team. Although it might not be the strongest team, it is certainly the most sustainable team. So they still got 12 marches in there. Let's go in again. 11 marches. And I do have to keep an eye out on how full my Hall of Valor is. Because if it's too full, then I need to be careful to not let it overflow. Still 11 marches. So I will probably have to switch out my Arma soon to my S16. Nine marches. Let's just keep sending. And while we're at it, why not do this as well? So that I take less permanent losses. Because you never really want to take permanent losses. Having a lot of troops is always better than not having a lot of troops. Wow, my finger is getting a little tired. Oh, I'm actually in. I should retreat this because it's probably weakened already. I don't know why they're cheering for me. I think this fight is far from over. So we currently have the center, but the HP is probably already in the 2000s by now. So we still got a lot of burning to do, even if we end up controlling it. So taking a look at the Hall of Valor, it is almost full. So soon I can no longer do the Hall of Valor trick. I'll have to rely on my healing speedups and my normal speedups. Hopefully I won't have to buy any healing speedups. That is kind of last resort, sort of. Let's recall this. And do we have enough steam left to push forward? I'm not sure. I am not sure at all. Like, I can still keep going for a long time. But does the rest of my alliance have that ability? I don't know. Like, I still have so much stamina left. So I think right now it's TUS and NMR clashing against each other with no real results. Six, that's not gonna make any progress. Like, I'm not even counting the timer right now because 6 marches in here will do absolutely nothing. Seven now. So once this hits like 9, I'll start counting the timer. So 52 minutes, we'll be back at 49 minutes. Let's just quickly check to see if there's anything to claim. Nothing much. Anything to do here? Nothing much. How's our revelry? Looking all right. And let's see who are the top contributors. Surprising. They actually did not contribute all that much, meaning that they might still have a lot of steam left. So there's 20 marches now. Now I'm kind of wondering if I should preemptively attack them, which I am going to do just a couple times. Because I want to exhaust this team at the very minimum so I can switch my pieces around. And as people kind of start running out of troops, it will become easier and easier to kick multiple teams out, which can be fun. One more. So as always, keep an eye out on my total valor capacity. I could probably do one more for the Hall of Valor, and then I'll have to start relying on healing. But right now, I don't have to do anything because they don't have that many marches in there. I don't know why my alliance appears to be out of stamina already. I still have like so much stamina. But what is certain is that I cannot burn this on my own. So let me just clear my reports and I will send my last march. Let me just look at Tuss's composition. Okay. This team might have been weakened, but it looks like shit. So let's just send our last round here. Oh, my buff ran out. Unfortunate, but we'll just have to deal with it. 23. Let's go back to healing. Of course, this method is better if you are getting attacked rather than you attacking multiple stack team, because it is simply very difficult to reclaim everything in time. I'm probably missing a bunch of... So it looked like I just reclaimed like 3 or 4, but I actually fought 6 times. So I probably missed reclaiming some of them, which is not very good. But now that my team is out of juice, my main team, I mean, I can quickly showcase how I would switch that that consistent setup to my second team. So what I would do is I would equip my Season 6 infantry hero with Kellerman's armor. So I would unequip here, equip with Kellerman's armor. So the main team that was used previously, which is Kellerman, Quinn, and Lisbeth with full S6 armor, that team might have been slightly stronger than this team, but the full Season 6 team is definitely weaker than this setup. So this setup will still be very strong in my opinion. So let me remove this, unequip, and equip it on him. And this will allow me to pretty much fight forever as long as I have enough healing and stuff. So I equipped him with the gear that I want, and I might be crashing here again, which is not ideal. If you're going to crash, then please crash quickly, because I do not have time to wait around. I really do not have time to wait around. Let's just close the game. Hello? Here we go. Let's try opening the game again. Yeah, if the game didn't load, then I would have to stop the recording and play on my mobile device because I still have a lot of stamina, a lot of juice left. And I'm not really a fan of losing when there's a chance to win. So let's jump right back in and see where we're at. Okay, we are back. It is currently TUS that is controlling. I'm going to let them do a bit of burning because I kind of want this number to go down a little bit. Ninja is using an absolute trash composition. I don't know why. I tell them what composition to use, but then either they don't understand or they don't have the appropriate armor. I'm just gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that he doesn't have the Morgan armor. I mean, he is running Morgan. I'm just gonna assume that he doesn't have the Kellerman armor because his composition is absolute garbage. It is a nice PvE composition, but for PvP, nah. Okay, now it's time to jump back in with our second team. Hopefully I'm not too late. I will be quite sad if I am. So now my Hall of Valor will be pretty much full after this fight. So I will be emptying my hospital and move forward from there. Let's see how many are in there. 12. So let's empty my hospital. And go back in. Yeah, that crash really didn't help me. So now I'm kind of lost on how close they are to actually taking this. I have no idea. I hope they're not that close. I thought I healed. I guess I didn't. Okay, that was a misplay from me. Okay, let's go back in. And use raid, please. I keep forgetting. Six, that's good. So my march should kick the remaining out. Or not. It's 3 left. Let's just speed this up and go back instantly. Oh, they got it. Well, it appears that we failed. I don't know how my alliance just kind of ran out of energy. That was not expected. But I kind of blame this on a crash, to be honest. I blame it on a crash. But yeah, this is the end results. Congratulations to TUS. They were able to take victory from the jaws of 2 opposing alliances who are as strong as they are. So congratulations to Server 16. And we will have to see how future battles in the Battle of Disorder turn out. Because right now, what ends up happening is that the Battle of Disorder center target is kind of difficult to break down. There are 201 defenders, and it's very hard to kind of kill those defenders without really burning yourself out. And I think that is what ended up that is why we ended up waiting for 16 hours before any action happened. So congratulations to Tuss once again. This was the three-way clash between server 16 in the south, server 12 in the left, and server 39 on the right side. And I will see everyone for the next big battle. Hope everyone enjoyed, and take care.